Konnichiwa minasan and welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Marco and we're back again with another video. Today we're going to talk about my Fortnite keybinds that I use for my GMK joystick. For those of you who don't know, I switched to the GMK joystick about 3 weeks ago. Because of that, I had to change all of my keybinds and adjust my mouse settings, which was complicated, but with some research and help from Ruby Plays video, I was able to figure it out. Let's jump straight into it. Okay, so I use window because I have my PC connected to my TV and it's easier for me to see everything and to open other applications if I need to. For frame rate, I'm running at 120 FPS. I could go a bit higher, but I chose to stay at 120 FPS because it's more stable when I'm streaming and recording. For brightness, I have it at max because I think the screen gets dark in certain parts of the game and it's easier for me to see with max brightness. For my contrast, I have it at 1.04x to make the color stand out a bit more. Usually people have it at 1x, but it really all depends on the person. Don't use any color blinds because it just looks clearer to me when I'm playing, but I know most people use Protonode with 7 color strength. That might be something you guys want to try out. With that whole portion there, you can just experiment with it and play around with it until you find something that you like. Now to move on to graphics, I have 3D resolution maxed out at 153%. View distance is set to epic so that I can see people from far away. Textures and everything else below, I have it on low so that the game can run smoother and that there is less delay as possible. For the rendering mode, I have it set to performance mode, which I think is the best, but again, you can play around with that and see which one that you like. For movement, I have toggle sprint on as well as auto open doors. Now I highly recommend to have auto open doors on, so if you are editing your wall build and you accidentally make a door, you can just go through it instead of running into the door. Another important one is hold to swap pickup. If you have this on, you're able to swap out a gun or item with the one you currently have. If you don't have this on, then it will just add the item to your inventory, which is what some people would probably want, but if you just want to swap that certain gun, you'll want to have this turned on. Okay, next important one is confirm edit on release. I like to have this on because it's easier for me when I'm building, but it's really up to you and your playstyle to determine whether you should have it on or off. So again, play around with this, see if you want to have it on, see if you want to have it off. Both are good either or, doesn't really matter, just depends on you. And this is the rest of my settings here. Okay, so my X and Y axis are at 7.0%. I found this to be the best sensitivity for me since I switched over to the GMK joystick, but please play around with the sensitivity to find what works best for you. I know it's easy to copy other people's sensitivities, but it really doesn't help that much unless you actually play around with the different numbers and see what works best for your aim type and your playstyle. I had to play around with this a lot and I changed the numbers around a bunch to actually get to the number that I want now, but sometimes I always change it up depending on if I want to go faster or slower, but I try to stay at 7.0% mostly. Now another important part, if you're using a GMK joystick, you have to turn lock input method as mouse on. This is one of the settings that they tell you to do when you get it. If you don't do this, your keyboard and GMK will fight each other and your controls will keep changing. So each time you want to use the GMK, you'll see letters and controller settings pop up. But if you start moving your mouse around, the mouse settings will pop up and they just both fight each other at the same time, which is hard and confusing for you as a person when you're playing around with it. But I just recommend turning this on because you definitely have to turn this on, otherwise you really won't be able to play how you want to. So for the movement, if you're using the GMK joystick, unbound aka unbind your movement keys. You want to do this because you will be moving with the GMK joystick and not with the keyboard. You don't need to have those bound. For my jump, I have it on left alt. For sprint, I have it on Z and use my pinky finger to hit that. Auto run is on R, but I really don't use that at all, so you don't have to have that on. I crouch with spacebar and I usually hit that with my index finger. For the fire and target, I just use my mouse for that, which is self-explanatory. Now for the reload, I use the button on the GMK joystick. So you're gonna have to have this unbound here, then you want to go over to the controller settings and then have it on custom. Go over to the A button and change it to reload. Changing that A button allows you to change the GMK button to whatever you like. So if you want to have it on reload, put it on reload. If you want to have it on something else, just scroll down this menu here and then you can change it to whatever you want to. So my use button is X, so I can switch out my weapons easier. So if I had a SMG and I wanted to pick up this AR, I'll just hold down X and swap out the SMG with the AR, and that doesn't go into my inventory. Okay, so we'll come back to the harvesting tool. I'll explain about that later. Next, for weapon slot 1, I use mouse wheel up, which is my shotgun. Oh, and you can set your weapon slots here on the preferred item slot. Sorry, I forgot to tell you guys about this. This is also important. You can copy mines if you want, or you can just change it up how you want to. Also, since we're here, I forgot to mention to have auto sort consumables to the right. So anytime you pick up any minis, half pots, sprays, or any consumables at all, it will go to the right of all your inventory, which makes it easier to get to your weapons and you don't get messed up in hitting the minis on accident when you want it to be your shotguns, you know, stuff like that. So that's important too. Okay, so jumping back to the weapon slots, I have slot 2 as G, slot 3 as H, slot 4 as F, and slot 5 as D. Usually I rest my fingers on left alt, C, V, and B, and then move them from there. Crouch while building, I use spacebar, same as my normal crouch button, so it's not confusing. For my wall and stairs, I have that on my G Pro Superlight side buttons, which is very helpful. My floor is C, my roof is N, and my trap is J. Place buildings is my left mouse button, which is the same as the shooting button. Repair/upgrade, I don't really use that at all, so I would say just skip that. But if you want to set it to something, you can go ahead. Rotate building is left shift, change building material is right mouse button. Building edit is B and mouse wheel down. The reason you want to have this double bound because when you edit, you will press B, but when you want to reset your wall, you will scroll down your mouse wheel. Trust me, trust me, trust me. You will thank me later after you do this. Crouch while editing is spacebar. Select building edit is left mouse button. Reset building edit is right mouse button and mouse wheel down, which is what I already explained about earlier. If you scroll down to toggle harvesting tool, I have that set to V. The important part about this is if you have this set here, the last weapon or item you are using after pressing this button will switch to the harvesting tool. But if you press it again, you will go back to the previous item or weapon you were using before you put out your harvesting tool. So I highly recommend taking advantage of that. And that's pretty much it for my keybinds and movements that I use. I hope I was able to explain everything for you guys, and if you have any questions or if there was something that I missed, then please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you liked the video, then please feel free to hit that like button and the subscribe button. Don't forget to set the notifications to all so you can see when the next video drops. Doing these things really help the channel to grow, and the best part about it is it's free. Follow me on Twitch to see me live playing Fortnite. I'll see you guys in the next video. Sayonara.